Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode 15 of Carbonite Convos. Kind of a milestone. Alec,
Dude,
how
I
you
can't
feeling
believe
today?
I can't believe we're on 15.
I know it's fun.
Seems like literally just a couple weeks ago.
I know. And when you think about it, it was June, July, August, September, October. So 5 months we've been going out at this now, and we are on episode 15. Before we keep going, guys, we really appreciate your support, and don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Carbonite Combos, and also on all the major podcast platforms. You can find the link in our bio, and you can or if you rather, just search the names on the screen here. But let's get right into it. We got
First things first.
Let's go.
Before we get into this, we got to shout out big Monday night game tonight, taking on the New York Giants. If you guys are tuning in on YouTube, you can see we're rocking our red. Number 3 in the power rankings this week. Obviously, hopefully tonight's a little bit of a spanking. Spanking on the Giants. So we're looking forward to that. We're gonna watch that thing here, and we're excited about that. We'll see what happens.
For sure. We got a big Mandalorian episode coming at you today. Just a quick little rundown of what we got today for you. We're just going to go into a little bit about Mandalorian Season 2. The season premiere obviously was packed full of Easter eggs and callbacks to all 9, well, mostly the prequels and the original trilogy. So we're going to say some of our favorite Easter eggs of the episode. Then we got a new Mandalorian Funko Pop that came out today, and we wouldn't really talk about it too long, and we still won't. But it's very
fitting.
Yeah, it's a unique pop. So we definitely got to go into it a little bit. We're going to talk very briefly about Bo-Katan and Cara Dune. What their roles might be like in this season, and also what it might be like in the possible Disney Plus spinoff of theirs. And then to round it off, we are just going full Mandalorian mode and going with some Jango Fett and Boba Fett conversation about, their Mandalorian history. So let's just get right into it. Alec, initial thoughts on Mandalorian Season 2?
Bro, it's really hard to live up to hype. Okay. And they still managed to do it. I mean, when shows like this could become a thing, I always get worried like things are gonna get a little cheesy or something. But like, dude, even like the surprise endings and stuff, which, spoiler alert, we're gonna be talking about a few things. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, make sure you go do that and then come back and tune into the rest of the show.
I can't
imagine
the people who would care about spoilers like haven't watched it yet, because it came out Friday at 3 a.m. Eastern time where we are. I watched it that day. We watched it together the next day because Alec was able to visit. It's been the whole weekend, and now it's been Monday as well. So if people haven't seen it by now, I don't think it's probably not someone who cares too much about spoilers. But for us fans, that was an awesome episode. Like you said, it's hard to live up to hype. And when you look at Mandalorian Season 1, I think the thing that was most unique about it was we had no idea what to expect. We went into 8 episodes completely just in the dark about what was going on. And a lot of great things happened in Season 1. Season 2 comes around. We do have, more of a knowledge of, what's going on during this point in time in Star Wars for these couple specific characters. So we kind of, we've gone along this 8 chapter journey with them so far. And then, like you said, living up to hype. Season 2, episode 1 was incredible. We didn't know how. Again, they just leave us wanting more every single episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we could talk about this for a really long time because I've seen so many people have the exact same. It's like the Star Wars community is very split. I think everybody knows that. Well, if you're above the common fan, you know that the Star Wars fandom is split, which trilogy, which TV show, characters, all that, canon legends, everything. But it seems like The Mandalorian so far has been something that has brought everybody together. I mean, I've seen disagreements here and there, but I haven't seen too many arguments about The Mandalorian because it's what's not to like.
It's very relaxed.
It is.
As far as like yeah, I mean, like not it's intense, like it's full of action and those sort of things, but it's very. What makes it appealing is like it can reach every audience. Like
Yes.
you get the typical fan, like just like you get the hardcore people that they can't. There's nothing original to like tie them to, so they can't really like compare it to anything. And then you get like the very casual fan that's just like, oh, this is pretty dope. Like I've seen the movies a couple times or whatever, and this is cool. So I think that's definitely the attraction of it.
Definitely, and I think I watched see the first episode with Payman, my roommate, and my girlfriend Rosemary. And Rosemary we've watched all the movies, but she hasn't seen anything other than that. But she watched the first season of Mandalorian. I watched it last week with her and Payman. So she has little to no history in Star Wars. Payman, he grew up watching the prequel trilogy. He likes Star Wars. He grew up watching it with his dad, so he likes it. So he'll notice more things. But I think of everything that a fan like you and I, everything we notice in the episode that most other hardcore fans will notice too. But I sit there, and while I'm watching the episode with these two, I want them to know these things more because they like the show. And let's talk about my girlfriend for a little bit. She likes the show, and she's not even a huge Star Wars fan. And you just think of how much more people would like it if they knew all these little idiosyncrasies that have connected this show and what at some point someone grew up with in the Star Wars fandom. So I think it's really cool. But I feel like we could talk about this for a long time, and we have plenty of time to talk about The Mandalorian. It's coming out once a week for the next 2 months, so we will get back to this in-depth discussion. But for the sake of time, let's go into our favorite Easter eggs.
That's actually a great transfers right there, just because you talked about the little Easter eggs that many people notice.
Yes.
For me, the first one that stands out.
Can I stop you really quick? Hold up. I should have told you that. And when I made my list, because I made my list before Alec, I should have, and we do not know each other's lists, so I'm really curious to see what he's going to say. I should have told you this. I picked 4 aside from, and major spoiler alert, so if you have not watched it, please just fast forward the next 15 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. So when I made my list, I made my 4 favorite Easter eggs, except for the Boba Fett armor and Tamura Morrison at the end, because I feel like those were too obvious. Like, I think that excites everybody the most is that we have Boba Fett back. So I decided to make 4 aside from that, but I should have told you that, when I mentioned to you about this little segment. So if that's it,
it should be good.
Okay. All right. So what's number 4?
We'll get there. I have a little bit of a different take. But again, talking about the Easter eggs, obviously the very, very beginning of Star Wars was R5. Like him showing up.
But is that your number 1 or is that your number 4?
That's my number 4.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
It was very subtle. But just like any other Easter egg, like that's one of those things you're talking about. Like Rosemary may not have noticed, but obviously you noticed. Like you hear the word R5, and you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like, what happened? Like, how is he like recovered, and like how is everything good?" I thought that was really cool to see.
Definitely, and
that was one of those things. It wasn't too much. It's not like, oh, there's Luke Skywalker in the background. No, it's R5. Like, oh, like that's something kind of small, but I went a long way.
No, definitely. And if you have not read From a Certain Point of View yet, which Alec has not read the book, but
I know
he needs to.
I'm going to this winter.
There is a quick rundown of the book. It's 40 separate stories from the original movie, written by 40 different authors. Amazing authors throughout the entire book. But there is a story about R5. As you know, in the original trilogy, he was the droid that Owen Lars was going to buy with C-3PO, but it looked like he had a faulty motivator, something like that. But after you read the book, you realize the story is a lot more sentimental than it is in the movie, because that's what this book does. It gives you 40 different stories from 40 different characters along this movie that you didn't really know had a huge role, but they actually do. So R5, I was very happy to see him. I don't know what else to say about him. If you haven't read the book, you have to read it. It'll completely change your outlook on that little red droid. Do you have anything else to say about R5?
Oh, go ahead and you take over.
I will go with my number 4. I loved the fact that Mando Din, he has a really cool speeder, right? It reminds me a lot of the speeders on Endor. But when you saw Cobb Vanth pull up next to him in a redesigned pod racer as a speeder, I thought that was incredible, because I was trying to connect the dots with what pod racer might be, but I looked at all the pod racers and I couldn't find any that match. But I thought that was really cool.
The rumor was Anakin's, but I don't know. That's kind of stretching it. But I don't know. We'll see. The paint job's similar. So
what I was thinking is like the engine's similar. Like it looks like he just painted blue red, because that was the big definable quality that I couldn't find, was a red wing. But I thought that was an awesome callback to the Phantom Menace. So I don't really have anything else to say about it. What did you think?
That was actually that's my number 3. So I'm glad you said that.
Bro, hold up. It hasn't been recording. I'm kidding.
It's like it's recording in the top.
You can see. I didn't see. You could see it. Dang.
You're an idiot.
I try to play.
I hate you so much.
Sorry, guys. I tried to play a prank on him, but it looked like it got you thinking for a minute.
It did. I was like, wait, why is it? It's literally saying it right there. Anyways.
Yeah. All right. Never mind. All right. Pod racing.
Asshole. Jeez.
Keep it PG.
Hey.
I know.
No, but I mean, I thought that was very interesting. Speaking of that, like obviously, taking scraps and all that, it was really cool to see Tatooine again from a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's like staying out of Mos Eisley and all that, like just literally like a completely brand new place, talking about how the city expanded and all that, and looking at the people like Cobb Vanth, and obviously they had to become scrappers to survive, and they were really able to flourish. Like literally, that shows it right there.
No, it does, and you see a new take on some creatures from Tatooine. So, what is your number 3 favorite Easter egg?
So the number 3 was the speeder bike.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Gotcha. It was. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my number 2.
Wait. Here, let me go to my number 3,
You're good.
And then it'll even out. So my number 3, I guess, it kind of worked perfectly. Going off of creatures that are shown again, I love that they showed the Massif. And for all of you who don't know, that is the kind of alien dog creature that the Tusken Raiders have. We saw them in Attack the Clones when Anakin goes to find his mother Shmi, when he went to kill the Tusken Raiders, where he found out his mom was. He slayed them all. But yeah, I thought that was something really cool, and I don't know why. But when I found out, like right when I found out that it was on Tatooine, I thought of Sand People, and then I was like, I bet we are gonna see a Massif. And I had to look up their name, because I've never really looked too much into it, because you've only seen them in maybe a minute screen time.
So I'm sorry. I gotta get stopped before I forget. Speaking of Tusken Raiders, I saw a really cool piece of Legends. It was this morning actually on Twitter. Artwork from a comic where it showed a Tusken Raider take off his headdress.
Really?
And they look like cat-like humans.
Really?
It's very interesting. When we watched it, I was like, I wonder what they look like under there.
Maybe we should do a short story about that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I bet a lot of people, like, for the person who started off watching Mandalorian, they probably didn't know that before this, Sand people were literally like, I don't even know what to call them. They were just animals. Like,
right,
we
they
hear
weren't
Anakin.
humanized.
Yeah, no, we just thought they were like creatures that just robbed and like stole, like, and pretty much they murdered people. So you look at how the Mandalorian has humanized them, especially in the world today. I think it's really cool that we now see such a different part of Tusken Raiders. I think
Right.
we've only seen them as savages. So now that we see the main characters connecting with them, like speaking with them, making deals, working together, I think that is incredible. How that's just something else the Mandalorian, that show as a whole, has been able to do that I don't think it would work in other series.
No doubt.
But yeah, so
All
we
right,
were talking about the massive. On to Alex, number two.
Number two, and this actually sparked from you saying it, and I don't even know if this is really an Easter egg or not, but more along the lines of, well, kind of Easter egg of how they did it with the Banthas. So in the original trilogy, they used elephants, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, and I want to know how they did that now.
Yes, because like it almost looks like all right. It doesn't look like a blurg at all. Am I coming off? Am I breaking up
You're
at
good.
all?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So it doesn't look like a blurg, but when you look at a blurg, from season 1, it looks like a real animal. And that it's funny you bring that up, because for anybody who didn't know, the Banthas, the big creatures that Tusken Raiders ride on in A New Hope, they used elephants and they had headdresses on them. And you couldn't see their mouth. You couldn't really see their face because they had to cover up the fact that they were an elephant. But then you see them in depth, like up close, and clearly there's no trunk. You see they have facial reactions. They use them as spoiler. They use them as bait and all that. So it's interesting you bring that up. I would love to know how they made that. If it's CGI, right. If it's I'm sure. Like it. No, I think what it is they built a real one, like the top half or the something like the top half, and with the new technology they use to make this show that they've shown in The Gallery, which is a TV show on Disney Plus for all of you who have not seen it. It's incredible. It goes into a different aspect of how the Mandalorian show is made. So it showed you this updated green screen and video game technology, how it works. So it has something to do with that new technology in this band.
Right.
All right. So that was your number 2, right?
It's my number 2.
All right. So not unfortunately, my number 2 was R5. So I really like R5. Again, if you haven't read this book, for someone who really likes Star Wars, this book will just completely enhance in every way you could think possible, like the original Star Wars movie. And that's why I'm so excited for the second one to come out this year, because it's the 40-year anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So it's, you got to read that book. It makes these characters so much more important. But yeah, so R5 was mine. Now, what is your number 1? And if you have the same number 1 at me, I'm going to be really pissed.
So for me, calling back to obviously the original trilogy, the Knights of the Old Republic game, the Krayt Dragon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of those things, again, like the casual fan, they see it for the first time. Oh, that's really cool. That's a cool, like, beast, like, thing.
Yeah.
But, like, that's kind of been a build-up for a long time.
Oh, yeah, because we've seen them in we saw the skeleton in A New Hope, and I like that they showed a skeleton
right.
of a bantha in the desert. I like that little tiny Easter egg. But, again, from a certain point of view, goes into stories about a Tusken Raider. And a Krayt Dragon is very symbolic in their culture. Like, I don't want to give away too many details, but, killing a Krayt Dragon is very important in the Tusken Raiders' past. So you got to read that book too, so you can, hear how it just makes everything connect so much more. No doubt. What else were you? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's it.
On a tangent. All right, so I'm so glad our number ones aren't the same. My favorite Easter egg was the scene where he's telling Mando how he got the armor. Well, yeah, how he got the armor and what happened when the Empire was destroyed. I loved seeing the Death Star explode on the little holographic projector.
I just thought of another one too. Don't let me forget. To come
right.
back to this, but
Yeah.
no, 100%. What was cool about the Death Star blowing up too was it looked old.
It did. It did, like the actual. Well, I'm sure that
Right.
is footage. That was footage of the actual second Death Star blowing up. They just, with how good they are at just making these things, they made it holographic.
Right.
And
they've never shown like the universe and the reaction to it.
Yeah. And
like
what that would mean
really
for
cool
other cultures, because yes, now the Empire's gone. If the Empire's gone, someone is bound to rise up. And that was, what was it? The mining, the mining guild, they took over, and Mos Pelgo was made a slave camp in a day. So there's so much history behind it, but I just loved seeing the Death Star explode. That was incredible. So let's hear your alternate.
So I don't remember the exact dialogue, but it was when Mando and Cobb Vanth were both. It was right before, again, spoiler, right before he's about to like take down the Krayt Dragon, and he tells Cobb Vanth, "Hey, take care of the child," and he like hits him, and it makes the jetpack like shoot off. Like that was a callback to when Boba's jetpack malfunctioned. Yeah. In the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny because it was like the same motion and everything.
I feel like an idiot because like I knew that was a callback to something. Like I saw him do that and him fly back like Boba does. But like I watched it a couple times and I was like, where do I know that from? I was like, that's a reference to something in Star Wars. But I didn't look it up. I was just gonna like try to think of it. So I'm glad. All right, yeah, now it makes sense. That's really cool.
I thought that was again one of those little small Easter eggs that are just like. That's a good one. That's smart.
All right, so going off of some of the things we've talked about, let's get into this Funko Pop because we've talked a little bit about what it's going to be. So for all of you who do not get the updates of brand new Funko Pops coming out, it was announced today, and you can pre-order it from Poppin' Off Toys. I know that's one place you can order it. It is a deluxe ride of Mando and the child, Baby Yoda riding on a bantha. And that's really cool because we've gotten everything from Tatooine, it seems like. I'm going to look behind me above this shelf is a Tatooine shelf. So they've given us Tusken Raiders, Jawa, the droids, so many scenes. A couple different scenes and a couple rides from Tatooine, right? And now we finally have a bantha, which is one of the, I'd say, sorry guys, right behind Jawas and Tusken Raiders, I think, are the most recognizable creature from Tatooine.
They're up there. No, that's no doubt. Here, let me ask you this before we get into it too much.
Yeah.
So we know that one's coming out, okay? Mm-hmm. And then we saw when we were pop shopping the other day, we saw the child with the egg canister. Which hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet.
Or at least I don't remember it happening.
Are we gonna get a pop from each episode potentially?
I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't.
That'd be
like maybe one unique scene.
Right.
I don't think I'd get them all because my wallet couldn't handle that. But a bantha, there's like with that egg canister scene, it was it's really cool. It's a very cool pop. But I have a Baby Yoda pop, and it was.
We don't know the relevance of it yet.
No, we don't. You're right.
That could be something important. So
exactly, it could. So you're absolutely right. Dang.
So, like, if that's the type of thing, like...
we always find an excuse to buy the pop, too.
We really do.
Yeah, so we can't let
that one's blue. I only have the red one. No.
Something as stupid as that.
Jeez.
All right,
but no, like, if every week, something like the bantha, or, I mean, obviously we don't know what's going to happen, but Mando's armor breaks off, or I don't know. Like, we're going to get a new Funko for every significant part of each episode.
Maybe. And guys, if you haven't watched our most recent Funko Friday, go check that out. It was of this bad boy right here. So go check that out really quick. And also, Alec and I just recorded a Funko Friday yesterday. We're recording this on Monday. So that is coming out this week, and it will go it'll, kind of go along with the theme we're talking about. But here's a sneak peek of something that we will be, showcasing in that episode.
Well, give him.
Yep. So this is Moff Gideon from season 1, and I was surprised we didn't see him, but it just builds it up again.
You got you got the other piece you wanted to show off?
Yeah, buddy.
There it is.
The dark saber. I'm excited.
Dude, that thing is sweet.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is sick.
While I have this out, our buddy over at Death Star Dispatch, Essential Fred, he actually did an unboxing and a review on the dark saber. So if you guys want to check that out, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. It was a really cool unboxing. But yeah, back to Funko Pops really quick. Were there any other ones that were announced? I know there was a GameStop exclusive of him flying in the air, like shooting a gun.
Right.
And then
it's the same. It's the same base as the Jango and Boba, the Walgreens jetpack one.
They also came up with him shooting up, holding Baby Yoda too. So I think I'm just gonna get the one of him holding Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have the common of Mando right now. I need one, a different one, whether it's the Amazon metallic or one of the newer ones.
Find that cheap.
No.
Yeah. No, and the thing is like, I think I'm a little more in-depth collecting with the Mandalorians, just because, two of my biggest sections are, Stormtroopers and then my Mandalorians. So, that's one of the, pop lines where you collect, you'll get the main ones, but I get a few more. I can't get them all though. I like getting all the suits. But yeah. Yes, sir. So any more pops before we move on?
No, nothing crazy out right now.
Right.
I just know like there's some cool stuff. There's like Pop in a Box Con coming.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's like 4 or 5 exclusives coming. So, and then we have, I don't know, nothing else crazy to my knowledge.
Then let's move on. So moving on from Funko Pops, our next item on the agenda is Bo-Katan and Cara Dune. What their role, what do you think? We're going to talk very briefly on this because I really don't have really not too much of opinion. That's what Mandalorian is. Excuse me. Sorry, I got a hiccup.
Right.
That's what Mandalorian has done. It has kept us in the dark and just not knowing what's going to happen next. So I really can't make too many bold predictions about Bo-Katan and Cara Dune, both in season 2 and in their possible spinoff.
I have no expectation for what they're going to be. I'm going to go in, not like low hopes or anything. I just open to whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
I have one request in the Bo-Katan series is more Darksaber explanation.
Oh yeah,
that's the only thing. They has to have something.
They can't not explain the Darksaber. It's whoever holds it is the leader of the Mandalorians, and we see an Imperial officer cut his way out of a shot down TIE fighter with it. How did he get it? So and that's what every Clone Wars and Rebels fan is looking forward to, is the explanation of the Darksaber. Like, this thing has so much significance to the Mandalorian creed. So I'm excited to see that too. But back to Bo-Katan and Cara Dune, I think my prediction / I don't know. I think a lot of what happens with Bo-Katan and Cara Dune is dependent on who ends up watching the child at the end of this, whether he's reunited with his people, whether he's still with Mando, whether we actually get Ahsoka and Ahsoka, is involved in that some way, whether it's Sabine, Cara Dune, who knows? Maybe he gets into the hands of Moff Gideon. You never know. But I think it is all very dependent on what happens with the child. Because if Bo-Katan gets the child, we could be seeing a whole lot of Baby Yoda in their spinoff series. So I think it's just dependent on that.
Right.
Definitely. But I really don't have any more bold predictions. About
I'm not expecting good. I'm not expecting bad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go into it, mind open. And with all these series, really, I feel like that's what anybody should do.
Exactly.
It's just, hey, just watch it. It is what it is. So
exactly. So moving on, our final two characters that we are going to talk about, Boba Fett and his father Jango. We got the awesome Easter eggs in there throughout the entire thing, calling back to Boba Fett. His armor, the fact that now I know that Cobb Vanth, he flew into the air, sort of Boba-esque. And then at the very end, we see Tamura Morrison, who, for those of you who don't know, played Jango Fett. He was the base model for all the clone troopers. We see him, and obviously we connect the dots. We figure it is Boba Fett. So it just gets you thinking about what Boba Fett's role in the show will be, but also as a Mandalorian as a whole. Because, whether you're looking at Legends or Canon, there's an explanation for him being a true Mandalorian and for him not being a true Mandalorian. So, what do you think?
As far as, my expectations for the series?
But more of, what do you think about his heritage as a Mandalorian, Boba Fett? Kind of stepping away from the TV show and just talking about Boba.
This is right, and this is where the differences in types of fans have different opinions. I'm not super big on Legends. I'm just not educated enough on it. Trying to learning about it, but I just go. My main thing is canon information.
Yeah.
So my opinion, he's not. They're not really associated too much.
Yes. So, brief little Mandalorian history lesson. Boba's dad was Jango Fett, and in canon, Jango Fett is not a Mandalorian. We find that out in Clone Wars.
You want more information? Go watch Nick's video.
Yes, it is our most popular video on the channel so far. So people are loving some Jango action. It shows, it just tells how he got Mandalorian armor. But going back to canon, he's not Mandalorian. He stole the armor sometime during or after the Mandalorian Civil War, and there's not really much to say. That would not make him a true Mandalorian. He just has the armor. With Boba being a clone of him, that would not make him Mandalorian either, because he, just managed to get the armor as well. So, brief Legends, history lesson. In Legends, Jango Fett is found after his parents are killed. Jango's found by a member of the Mandalorians and raised as his child, or, as we find out in the TV series, he's raised as a foundling. So he's considered Mandalorian. I don't exactly know the story of how Boba Fett comes about. I don't know if he's still a clone of him or if he's something else, but it would make Boba Fett Mandalorian as well. But again, that's in Legends, so that's not on the official timeline. But I hope we get, and I think we are going to get, a much more detailed story about Boba Fett and his history as a Mandalorian.
I mean, they have to do some sort of explanation how he's alive and stuff like that. So that there's going to be some sort of new information, canon information about Boba. So that'll be fun to look forward to.
Going back to Bo-Katan, and this all ties in, I think one thing that I'm excited to learn about in this series is, she's a Mandalorian. We've seen her many times with her helmet off. So why has it gone from really, in the Clone Wars, it doesn't really matter, or else it's not explained that they can't take it off. You never see that as an issue. Why has it gone from so not cared about to if you take it off, you're not a Mandalorian? Enforced. I think it has to do with the purge.
It has to.
It has to, because there's so little left.
It's very, and with the Mandalorian ways, it's very religious.
It is.
So there's probably different groups of people that follow that differently and see things in a different way. Like the helmet thing, Mando could have been raised by a group that strictly believed that taking helmet off is so
right.
sinful, versus another group might not be so.
Huh. I didn't really think of it that way. I think that's really interesting.
I could be 100% wrong, but that's
you could be, but that's, I mean, it sounds pretty unique. I'm really excited for that. We should get a little history lesson about
something.
You know what that is. And that kind of leads into Boba, because if they kind of make it go that Legends route and make it official that he is a Mandalorian, it would lead to believe, like, why did he take off his helmet? But the thing is sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but I got to get this little theory out. You guys are watching a theory unravel live. All right, so let's say that Boba Fett is, they go the Legends track and they say he's Mandalorian, right?
Right.
And let's say at the point in time of the original trilogy, let's say all Mandalorians, they had to keep their helmets on, right? The original trilogy is after the Great Purge, so that would kind of line up if that's why they keep their helmet on. In the original trilogy, we never see Boba take his helmet off. We never see it. I haven't watched the holiday special, but I can't imagine he took it off. So when you think about it, Boba Fett, the entire time we saw him as, an adult with the armor, he did not take it off. So is it possible that they could go that Legends route and he is, in fact, a Mandalorian? But obviously the reason he wouldn't have his armor now is because he fell into a Sarlacc pit, and who knows how he got out.
That happened.
He's officially out. Who knows how he got out, how he got separated from his armor, but you never know. Boba Fett might be the same way, where you have to put your helmet back on, or maybe once you take it off, you can't put it back on. So maybe that's why he doesn't have it anymore.
That's an interesting point.
If he believes that, if you take it off in front of, but I can't imagine he's run into too many people.
No,
So if he hasn't run into anybody, it wouldn't really matter, because they just can't show their face to anybody else. You can take it off to sleep and crap, but not sleep and crap. But I meant
no, literally
sleep and stuff.
And crap. Like, those are your two options.
Crap. Exactly. No, but I don't even know if that theory sounded coherent or
no, 100%.
I was just, man, like, they could. I hope we find this out.
Sure.
I hope we find this out.
I mean,
never know.
There's bound to be something that'll at least dictate us in the right direction.
There will. My goodness. So before we call it a day, do you have anything else about the Mandalorian or any Star Wars, Marvel news that we can show give out to the people while we're still here?
As far as Marvel news, what's it called?
Shang-Chi
finished filming. And no positive coronavirus cases while filming. Fun fact. So it's set to release next year. So that's hopeful.
And I have no
getting back to normal.
Yeah, I have no clue what that show entails, so I'm excited. Well, what that movie entails. So
right. It'll be fun.
That'll be exciting. Yep. Anything else on
No, nothing crazy. Just like Nick said earlier, make sure you hit that like button, hit that bell, so you guys get alerted whenever things get posted on the page, and then tune in for our Funko Fridays, one coming out this week. Nick and I actually got to film our first one together. Went pop shopping a little bit, got a little bit of a haul, so we showing off some cool things on there that personally I added some cool things. I know Nick did as well. So
yes, sir. Yep. So we'll put this graphic on the screen one more time so you can follow us on social media at Carbonite Convos and on all the major podcast platforms. And we have some personal handles there. And subscribe to us on YouTube. That is what we love making videos for you guys. And we just hit 80 subscribers. So we'd love to get that number to keep going up, and hit that bell so you're notified. But I think that's all we have. Again, Funko Friday coming out Friday. But until then, guys, may the Force be with you.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.